What's going on, everyone? So it's official. The Faculty, classic 1998 movie. Go over that here in a second. Remake has been confirmed and is being written by Drew Hancock. So, again, not a lot of details yet about what this will be. Are they going to is it just going to be like a carbon copy remake? Is it going to be a sequel? How are they going to approach it? What are they going to do about it? They said it's just going to start being written. Look, I love The Faculty. Faculty, I think, is like, it's up there in my favorite like horror movies. I feel like it's that movie that everyone loves, they just don't think about, right? Like every time somebody's like, oh man, The Faculty, you're like, oh, that movie's great, right? Like it's just one of those movies where like, it's not put on the top of the list for most people, but like, when you mention it, you're like, yeah, that movie's great, right? And it came out at like the perfect time, right? You had all these, coming of age teen movies and stuff like Can't Hardly Wait and all those things, American Pie, all these classic films, right? Comedies and rom-coms, what She's All That, like I'm not sure about the timelines of some of those, but you get my point, right? Like it was in a time where these teen comedies, these teen films were really a big thing. And then you kind of took that idea and that concept, added aliens, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets teenage angst movie, and boom, there you go. It was just like this perfect stew, which was by Kevin Williamson. He was the one that created it, and that was also during the peak of Kevin Williamson, right? Like everything at that point, all in horror, was all like from Kevin Williamson, right? Because obviously the success from Scream. You had Scream 2, you had I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Faculty, you had several films that all really stemmed from Kevin Williamson. But, like with all these remakes and stuff, The Faculty is one of those films that, again, I think doesn't really need a remake. I think you just kind of leave it as it is. That cast was incredible, right? I mean, the cast was as good as the movie. Especially, and you had that cast, like they weren't at, like Josh Hartnett wasn't at like the peak of his heights, right? Like this was like right around Halloween H2O when he was doing that, but this was before he started doing all those like like and I know there's other movies that I'm like blanking on, but you get my point, right? Like before he started Pearl Harbor, there we go, that's the movie I was trying to think of, right? Before like he really started to do these like the films that he became known of and became that like heartthrob and stuff for just films, period. But also, you had Elijah Wood, who obviously he became a big thing. Clea, was Clea Duvall. She was in like all like the classic teen movies and stuff like that. You had like Usher in this, Sean Hotsey, and then you had Jordan Brewster, right? Like this cast was a very good cast. Robert Patrick and Terminator and all that stuff. So this was a film that just had like an expert cast that just stood the test of time, and story I thought was great and all that. But now we're gonna get a remake. I'm curious to see how true is it to the original. Is it going to be along the same lines? Are they going to do some different things? Are they going to be, a little more creative in that regard? I imagine that it's still going to be like an alien movie and, Invasion of the Body Snatchers type film. I think they'll still keep it true to itself. It's just, I'm sure they'll kind of modernize it, make it more of a modern thing. But like, it's a movie that I really enjoy. You had all like the stereotypes and, just all the typical tropes of what high school was, right? Especially back then. And it's really not like that, right? Like, you go to high school, you realize like, it's not like the movies at all. But, you had kind of the, Josh Hartnett was like the loser that probably should have dropped out, drug seller guy in the back. Elijah Wood was like the nerdy kid that was kind of dorky. You had the quarterback. You had like the goth girl, the popular chick, right? Like you just, again, it was the perfect blend of just the time and all the teen angst films meets this horror alien invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I just thought it was like a perfect storm. Like, I just think again, it's one of my, like, every time that movie's on, if I'm flipping through the channel or something and I randomly see it, boom, guess what? I'm watching it, right? Like I mentioned earlier, it's one of those films that when somebody mentions it to you, you're like, yes, I love that movie, right? Like, and that's the beauty. And I really hope that they don't butcher it. I really hope they don't drop the ball on this remake. Because again, a lot of remakes that have been going on, and a lot of these remakes, end up not being so great, right? A lot of these remakes end up being rather disappointing. And I really hope that that's not the case for this. I hope that that's not something that we end up seeing happen with the upcoming Faculty movie. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? You excited for a new Faculty movie? Is this a movie that you get on board with? Is this a movie that, you're definitely going to go see when it comes out? Do you think, like, nah, stay as far away from, a remake of this as possible? Is this something that you won't be tuning in for? Yeah. And then lastly, like, what actors and actresses would you want to see in a modern version? Because like I mentioned earlier, the cast was as big as the movie itself. Right? Like, again, maybe not necessarily at the time. As I mentioned, Elijah Wood was acting since he was a child, but a lot of these actors and actresses went on to be, bigger names after this film. But, is there like a group of casts that you would like to see in it? Right? My problem is I'm not super familiar with a lot of like the newer generations, the newer casts. I know kind of like the names that everyone would know. But I'm sure that many of you have kind of your thoughts and perceptions on like, ooh, I'd really love to see this guy or that guy. Like who, let's do this down in the comments for those that made it to the end, right? Who do you want to play Elijah Wood's character, Jordan Brewster's character, Josh Hartnett's character, so on and so forth? Like I'd love to kind of like, okay, who do you want to play the nerd? Who do you want to play that, the popular chick, the goth girl, the jock, and then the drug addict, and then the new, the girl that, is the foreign girl that ultimately becomes an alien. And are they going to change the ending? That's kind of something else that I probably should have talked about earlier too. Like, do they change the ending? Because then we all know it's the new girl, right? Like, if they're going to do the exact same thing, then everyone knows who the alien is. So, does that kind of ruin the mystery, right? Because it was a bit of a, mystery, a bit of a whodunit, watch out type thing. But anyway, again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.